we're going to start with announcements. So you can go ahead and click on announcements. And I don't have any yet. Go ahead and click on where it says plus announcement. And we're gonna build one together. This is the interface that you'll always see whenever you're building anything in Canvas, whether it's an announcement, an assignment, a quiz, a discussion. You're going to see this exact same interface. So this is our rich content editor. That's the larger box with all of those tools that you're seeing there. On this right-hand side, we call this the content selector. So the rich content editor is where you can create things in that box. The content selector is going to show you links to things that you've already created in your course. It's also where you can access and upload your files and where you can upload images that you can use here in this rich content editor. For an announcement, go ahead and give your announcement a title. We're just going to practice this together. And I will show you some of the tools that are in here. You can go ahead and start typing in that box whatever you would want your students to see. Now, the tools that you're going to see in your rich content editor across the top, these are going to be your general word processing tools where you can bold, italicize, and underline. You can change the color of your text. You can also change the background color. It's my job to tell you, though, just because you can doesn't mean you should. So just because there is magenta with a black background does not mean that that is a nice thing for students. We have an accessibility checker over here. That's this little guy that's hanging out over on the bottom row all the way to the right. I'm sure that would flag that as not being accessible. So I feel like I always have to say that. This is our alignment tools are in there, things like bolding and numbering. You can change the font size on that bottom row if we drop down there. You can also give that text tags, which are very helpful, not only for visual emphasis, but also for a screen reader. So if you were building a longer page, we would definitely encourage you to use those different text styles in there as tags, so that would be read by a screen reader. Now, I'm sure there's somebody who's looking for how do you change the actual font in Canvas. And this is sometimes the sad part of my presentation where I tell you that this is the only font that's in there. You guys seem to have taken that pretty well. That's good. So this is just the one font in Canvas. If you're curious what it is, it's Lato, L-A-T-O. It was chosen to be accessible. We only have the one font for ease of use with screen readers. Some people try to get around it by saying, well, I know how to write HTML, so I'll change the font in the HTML editor. Canvas says nope and scrubs that out. So they can try all day long, but it's not going to work. Comic Sans is not here, thankfully. Sometimes if I'm training like elementary teachers, they're super sad. But like I said, you guys took that pretty well. Any questions so far? Okay. We're going to get deeper into what some of the, especially other tools on that bottom row do as we continue to build for today. So down here at the bottom, this is actually a new feature. This happened over the weekend. Remember I told you that Canvas has upgrades every 3 weeks on a Saturday? This past Saturday was a production release. You might have multiple sections in your courses, especially if, I know the folks yesterday, some of them said they had undergrad and grad students in the same course. So however it's done by the registrar, if there's multiple sections in one course, one of the new features that we have here is you can post an announcement just to one of the sections. So if you just needed, your Monday, Wednesday, Friday section to see it, not your Tuesday, Thursday, that we just built that functionality in there. You can add an attachment to an announcement. Some of the other options that you have in here, you can delay posting. I know some people are a lot more organized than I am, and they post the same announcements all the time. And if that's you and you want to get all of your announcements ready to go at the start of a month or start of a semester, you can say when you want the announcements to post. You can allow users to comment on announcements. I know some people use their announcement space this way, where they post like a challenge question, or they want students to get engaged, especially strictly online teachers. We're always looking for ways to encourage students to get more engaged and participate. So you can allow users to comment. And just like we have in our discussions, you can have it set so that users must post before they see the replies. So if they are not interested in looking at what everybody else had to say, if they never post to it, they won't see that there's any comments there. You can enable a podcast feed. You'll also see this in discussions. Why is this here? Well, one of the tools that is in your rich content editor is the Record Upload Media tool. And some really cool faculty use their announcement space to build a podcast. And so students can subscribe to that. They only post audio announcements. Students can subscribe to it. As soon as you click enable a podcast feed, that would show up for students, and then they could subscribe to that. You can allow this to be liked too. We don't do thumbs down, we just do thumbs up. So if you allow liking, a little thumb will show up, and then students can, can like it. Sometimes instructors say, give me a thumbs up when you've read this. It's a nice way to see that they saw it or didn't. Every time you're building in Canvas, you'll see cancel, which makes it go away, or save. So you can go ahead and click save just to see what your announcement's going to look like once it's posted. You can always go back and edit it. You could always go back and delete it. Your profile picture is going to show up in there. And now when you click on home, it will also show at the top of your home page, because your courses are set to show the 3 most recent announcements up there at the top. Now, as you use the course over time, I'm going to show you what this course looks like. We're going to use this frequently throughout the day to show you a built-out course. This is what your announcements list will look like once you start using it more frequently. So the full list of all of your announcements will show up in that announcements link. So it's a nice way, a repository of all of those announcements that you posted. The most recent one will be up there at the top. It does have an RSS feed if you want to enable that for your students. And this way they could say, you didn't tell me that we were going to have a test, and I could say, it was in the announcements. They could say, I didn't see it, and I could say, look at the announcements link, there it is. So this is what the announcement space starts to look like once you use it more frequently. All right, any questions about announcements?